Thank you. Thank you very much. At first, I would like to thank Dr. Nadire Kantar, President UBSDR, for kindly giving me the opportunity to speak or to present my paper in the first International Women's Congress. Okay, so the title of my paper is Gender Empowerment in India, Myth and Reality. You see, the new millennium began with the declaration of the 8 development goals, popularly known as the Millennium Development Goals or MDGs. So, out of those 8 development goals, goal number 3 sought to promote gender equality and empower women. In line with the MDGs, the Government of India also declared the year 2001 as the Women's Empowerment Year. Okay. Thereafter, we find that after the successful completion of the Millennium Development Goals, the United Nations adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. Those 17 Sustainable Goals were adopted by the member countries in September 2015. So, now I would like to say that how far gender empowerment in India has been ensured. You see, both the world wars violated all kinds of women's safety, security and freedom and progress. The worst crime against humanity, particularly the women, was the annihilation of human resources and destruction of national, public as well as private wealth in both the wars. Okay. However, since the approval of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948, perception of people's protection of people's rights and freedoms were ensured formally. Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Okay, so they are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Further, Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion. Okay, so these are the provisions. Not only that, there are so many other provisions. Suppose in 2010, the United Nations General Assembly created UN Women, which is the United Nations entity for gender equality and empowerment of women. So, UN Women focuses extensively on gender equality and women's empowerment. The United Nations General Assembly also adopted the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in 1979. The convention was the culmination of more than 30 years of work by the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, a body established in 1946 to monitor the situation of women and to promote women's rights. So, I see that there are so many attempts have been taken by the global leaders or in the global organizations, the highest global organization, to eliminate all kinds of discrimination and ensure women's empowerment. And you see, if we see the convention, it says that it explicitly acknowledges that still extensive discrimination against women continues to exist. Not only that, we have seen that since 1975, the United Nations organization held 4 world conferences on women to ensure gender equality and empowerment of women. The first world conference was on women was held in Mexico in 1975. The second world conference on women, named the World Conference of the United Nations Decade for Women, Equality, Development and Peace, was held in 1980 in Copenhagen. The third world conference was held in 1985 in Nairobi, while the fourth World Conference on Women was held in Beijing. The conference for the first time shifted, this is the first time in 1990, the conference that shifted its focus from women to gender, and re-evaluated the entire structure of society. The Fourth World Conference on Women was held from 4th to 15th September 1995. Okay, and then we find that Beijing Plus 5 also held, which also wanted to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. Okay, so these are the attempts, or these are the hello, am I audible? Okay, so these are the attempts have been taken by the United Nations to empower women and eliminate all kinds of discrimination against women and girls. Okay, here we find that, so I am not going in details. I would like to say that here in this topic, there are three things mainly. What are the three things? Number one, gender, and second thing is empowerment, and the third thing is myth and reality. Okay, so I would like to highlight a little on the etymology of gender, and then I will say about gender. What is gender? Actually, the concept of gender has now become an issue of extensive study by feminists, developmental theorists, and others across the world. So though the concept has assumed an important part across the world, you see, the concept of gender has only become a buzzword in the social science, biological science, and medical science in the 60s of the 20th century. However, the term gradually occupied an important position in the academic discourse as well as developmental agenda from the 80s in the last century. Since then, it has attracted the attention of global leaders, social scientists, feminist writers, and other social scientists. Okay, even the activists. So the concept was first popularized globally at the dawn of new millennium, when the world leaders set 8 developmental goals, out of which I told earlier that goal number 3 was to promote gender equality and empower women. Okay, it is, you see, it was John Money, the renowned sexologist, for the first time in 1955 introduced the terminological distinction between biological sex and gender as a role. Prior to his work, the term was used merely to refer grammatical categories, but the meaning of the word gender introduced by John Money did not receive widespread popularity from its very first use. The word gender became popular only when the feminist writers embraced the concept with a distinction between biological sex and the social construct of gender. The social scientists have gradually begun to follow the term strictly in social sciences only. In the English literature, the trichotomy between biological sex, psychological gender, and social gender role first appeared in a feminist paper on transsexualism in 1978. So, this change of meaning is seen first, and further we find that in the 1980s, a small acceleration of the process in scientific literature, and in 1993, when the Food and Drug Administration of the United States of America started to use the term gender instead of sex. In 2011, Food and Drug Administration reversed its position and began using sex again as the biological classification and gender quote as a person's self-representation as male or female, or how that person is responded to by social institutions based on the individual's gender presentation, unquote. So, further I would like to say concretely what is the definition of gender. Okay, so it is observed that prior to the 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing that held in 1995, various members of the US Congress raised this concern over the term gender. Okay, but the particular meaning of gender is actually a set of perceptions of people of a given society that ascribes some attributes to male, female, and transgender. We can finally give a working definition of gender as it is a set of experimental and presentational characteristics associated with the culturally arising from pairing with a particular sex. Hence, to define the term, it can be said that, quote, gender refers to the social attributes and opportunities associated with being male and female, the relationships between women and men, and girls and boys, and the relations between women and between men. Okay, I am not going further in detail about defining gender. Now I would like to say what is gender empowerment. In short, I am just saying, so gender empowerment is the most important discussion in the feminist discourse, and the issue of empowerment of women is now a global issue. Empowerment is basically a process that a person learns and enjoys through participation in various socio-economic and political activities, and the result of the process is also termed empowerment. Hence, the term, quote, empowerment means the transformation of structures and subordination through radical changes in law, property rights, control over women's labor and bodies, and the institutions that reinforce the and perpetuate male domination. Okay, so the actually gender empowerment is women's empowerment, and women's empowerment is the concept assumed an important role in the new millennium, I told you, which has become a significant component in the socio-economic development of a nation coupled with women's development. Today, the world strategy of women has been enhanced, that it is said that empowerment of women is enhancing the powerless to make them powerful. So it would promote women's inherent strength and positive self-image. So empowerment of women is essentially the process of increasing the social, economic, political, sociological status of unprivileged women in a society. So women's empowerment refers to the enhancement of women's ability to make strategic life choices in a context where these ability was denied them earlier. So the term empowerment, women's empowerment, has been defined by Rajeshwari M. Shettar. She holds that, quote, women's empowerment refers to increasing the spiritual, political, social, educational, gender or economic strength of individual and communities of women. Okay, so these are the mainly definitions gender and women's empowerment. Now I would say how far gender empowerment has been ensured in India. I would say in a nutshell, you see, it starts everything of women's empowerment or girls' empowerment starts with mother's womb, whether a girl child can see the light of the sun. Okay, so it starts from sex ratio. In India, it is found that on an average in 2024, how many women? I mean 943 girls are there per 1000 boys. It means that here we find a discrimination between boys and girls. There are some states like Delhi, Chandigarh, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Haryana, and some other states, Sikkim. In these states, including Bihar, you can say Gujarat, where the girl child in comparison to male child is in Gujarat, suppose out of 1000 boys is to 918 girls. Similarly, in Bihar, there are out of 1000 boys, where there are 1000 boys, their women's ratio, girls ratio is 916. Similarly, in Uttar Pradesh 908, we find in Jammu and Kashmir only 883, in Haryana 877, in Dadra and Nagar Haveli also 775. So these are very alarming situation. Okay, so here I would like to say that in India, girl child girl children are not allowed to see the sun of the light of the sun. So they are still, though there is, I mean, sufficient or enough or laws regarding sex determination, but still abortions of female fetus is going on in mainly in rural areas and in particularly in some states. Okay, more in some states like Daman and Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Chandigarh, Delhi, and these are the states. Okay, so child ratio is alarmingly low in some states. Okay, next I would say that infant mortality rate. How infant mortality rate in India? Whereas I am saying is small statistics in Sri Lanka, you find that per 1000 live births only 8 is the infant mortality rate in 2022, whereas in Bhutan it is 20 per 1000 live births, and in Nepal it is 23, Bangladesh it is 24, in United Kingdom it is only 4 out of 1000 live births. And in the United States of America, you will also find same 4 live births per 1000, infant mortal, 4 infant or infants are dying while delivery per 1000 live births. Okay, so but in India this rate is very high. There is per 1000 live births, the rate is 26. Okay, so this is really very very pathetic scene. Not only that, if you see that crime against women, women are still victims of rape, kidnapping, threatening, dowry assaults and dowry deaths, and assaults of women with intent to outrage for modesty, and you see by insult of the modesty, insult to the modesty of women, you see cruelty by husband and by her relatives, immoral trafficking, dowry prohibition, and the indecent representation. So there are so many laws, but despite having those laws, women's crime against women is also increasingly in the society. And very recently we see that violence or particularly rape cases have been increased in India, and we all know that what happened in RG Kar hospital, when in the hospital itself a postgraduate doctor student was murdered and brutally killed. So this has created a furor in West Bengal. So this and not only that, we find that trafficking of girl children is also there. So there are so many laws even in our constitution. If I go to say the discrimination rate, there is not a single field where men and women are equal, except I have found that except in the longevity of women. Women outlive men. So this is the only sphere where women are having better position than men. So in India there are so many laws, constitutional laws, like you see Article 14 of the Constitution of India that says about equality before law and equal protection of law. When I find that the dictionary, the Constitution Article 15 says that there is the state should not discriminate against any children on grounds of only religion, race, caste, or sex, or place of birth. Okay, so still discrimination is going on, though there is constitutional law. In the constitution it has been mentioned. Similarly, Article 15(3) states that there should not be even the states. Even the state governments or the state of India has been given or empowered to make special provision in favor of women and children. Despite that, there are so many laws and rules. Despite that, I say that women are still victims of rape. They are the victims of rape. They are being killed. They are being murdered. They are being slapped. They are being abused. Every day, regularly, in any place you will find women are not safe in schools, they are not safe in their workplace, they are not safe on road, they are not safe in institutions, even they are not yes, yes, okay, I am just completing, just 2 minutes, okay. So they are not, they are not, I would say that they are not safe anywhere in India, okay. So that is why I suggest to the government of India some policy prescriptions. I am just saying that women's more scientific education, women should be literate, more education, scientific education should be imparted to women, women's literacy as well as women's economic opportunities, so that women can earn, their earning opportunities should be enhanced, so that women can be economically empowered. And then I say always, I suggest to the government of India always that government should give emphasis on women's self-defense or women's judo, karate or self-defense methods, so that women can be can protect themselves, and more business entrepreneurship training, management training should be imparted to women, more consciousness should be raised among women and girls, and they should I mean government and non-government organizations should increase their consciousness, their awareness about so that they can increase their mental makeup and they can protect themselves, and always they should cherish big dreams, so that they can study first and then join workforce and then earn their livelihood, because they are by 2047, if India wants to become a superpower or a $25 trillion economy, then India, every Indian people, mainly the 80 crore people, will have to earn by 2.15 lakh per month, that is 26 lakhs per month, to become a $25 trillion economy by 2047. So I think that all should be, all young people, all scientists, all doctors, all females, all males, and all able-bodied persons, all scientists, so they all should come forward to join the economic activity and make our country a superpower. Okay, with this expectation, I would like to conclude here, and once again I would like to thank all of you, because for a long time you have been bearing me. Thank you very much. I would like to conclude here. Thank you. Namaskar from India.